Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. I'm so excited for it. It's 10 ways to get promoted, and Hallie Crawford is our guest presenter today. Before we go ahead and get started, I just wanted to do a quick audio check with everyone. If you could go ahead and, for those that are out there, raise your hand. You'll see that raise hand function on the bar there. If you can just go ahead and raise your hand so I know our volume is working and people can hear me, that would be great. Thank you so much. I see lots of hands going up. Wonderful. All right. Well, my name is Hallie DeWald, and I am the Associate Director of Alumni Career Services here at UGA. And we love to provide webinars for our alums. We do about 1 to 2 a month, and we're really happy to, like I said, have this great topic, 10 ways to get promoted. I think it's really relevant for everybody, no matter where you're at in your career. It's always great to know kind of what to be thinking about as you look for promotion. So just so you know, we have a couple of these events a month, but we also do some other virtual programming. Please feel free to take a look at our website. It's career.uga.edu and see the full list of upcoming events for alumni. I also want everybody to know that this webinar is being recorded, so if you missed something today or if you feel that you need to hear parts of it and go back, there will be a link sent out later on today, and you can just go ahead and watch the recording anytime. If you have any questions during this webinar, we do have a questions box. You can go ahead and type those in, and I will submit those questions to Hallie kind of as we go through. Again, so happy that we have a wonderful guest speaker with us. Hallie's done quite a few webinars with us. She's a fantastic career coach and expert in all things career related. She is also a certified career coach, a national career expert, and she's based here in Atlanta. Her company, HallieCrawford.com, has a team of career coaches, and they have helped thousands of people worldwide figure out what they want to do, go for their dream careers, and she's had amazing successes along the way. Hallie is also regularly featured in Forbes.com and the Wall Street Journal, CNN. She's a regularly published expert, like I said, in the topic, so we're just so grateful to have her. So with all of that, I'm going to give it over to Hallie, and she can take it away.
Thank you, Callie, and thank you, everyone, for being here today. We greatly appreciate your time, especially after a long holiday weekend, probably for most of you. It was wonderful, and it's taken a while for a lot of our clients to kind of get back into the swing of things. So I'm really impressed that you all are here to think about and learn about how to get promoted. So we are going to be talking about 10 very specific ways to get promoted, whether it's this year, later this year, or next year. And as Callie said, I'm Hallie Crawford, and one of the things I want you to know kind of up front here, our coaches have coached professionals all over the world to help them find the right career path, make that career transition, and achieve their career goals, just like what we're going to be talking about today, getting a promotion. We have actually been coaching and training for over 18 years. I know some of you might be like, gosh, she sounds like she's 12. How is that possible? But I'm actually 46 and have been doing this for that long. And the tips that we are going to be sharing with you today are the same exact advice and tips that we share or provide to our clients to help them get to that next level and achieve or, attain that promotion, okay? So one of the first things that I wanted to share with you, though, is that I do understand that doing something like asking for a promotion can feel intimidating or overwhelming. I totally get it. I know how hard something like this can be because sometimes I don't feel so confident myself. I sometimes suffer from what is called the impostor syndrome, even though I've been doing this for over 18 years. So for example, sometimes I feel like my business is successful because of luck rather than hard work or talent. We are very good at what we do. We have a 98% satisfaction rating with our clients. They're thrilled with the advice we give them. But still, sometimes I have, just like anybody else, I have these doubts or fears that can creep in sometimes, and it can make me feel less confident and less willing or able to step out of my comfort zone to do something like it may feel to you asking for a promotion, okay? So I get it, and this is one of the obstacles that we are going to talk about today, as well as the 10 tips that we'll give you to help you overcome it and make this happen. So let's take a look at the next slide and what our agenda is. So we are going to be talking about First of all, the three most common obstacles that we have found our clients encounter or, fear, if you will, in terms of going to ask for that promotion. We're going to talk about the 10 tips to get that next promotion. And I do want you to think about these and kind of leverage them as you're following along today. And especially if you listen to the recording, we want you to leverage these 10 tips in the order that they're presented, because they are intended to kind of build upon the ones beforehand. We're going to talk about 4 basics to avoid in order to keep yourself in the running for that next promotion. And also, I wanted to let you all know that I'm happy to offer and conduct a complimentary career strategy session with anyone on the call today or listening to the recording later. If you feel like you need additional advice on this, especially, tailored to your specific situation. We also do have a promotion template that we provide to our clients, and I'm happy to share that with you as well. If you take a look at the bottom of the screen, you can simply email us at admin@halliecrawford.com. If you'd like a copy of this presentation, happy to provide the PowerPoint slides to you so you don't feel like you have to be frantically writing everything down. If you'd like to set up that complimentary session, that's the way to do it as well. But if any of you would like that promotion template, it's basically a PowerPoint document that you can use in order to ask for the promotion during the course of the meeting. When it's time to do that, we're happy to share that with you as well. Just email us. All right, so let's talk about the obstacles and why it's important to address those first. The deal is, like we said, applying for a promotion can feel overwhelming and really competitive, especially when you look at these statistics. Things like, a corporate or an average job opening, it attracts around 250 resumes, and obviously only one person is chosen for the actual job. So if you focus on these statistics, it can feel that much more intimidating and, overwhelming. So we don't want to focus here, okay? What I want you to know is that there is good news, that organizations do need and feel like they need qualified leaders. They anticipate a shortfall in the minimum number of qualified leaders over the next several years. Only 18% of current managers feel like they have the high talent they need that's required for the jobs that they have and are looking for candidates for. And 35% of managers, only 35%, are truly engaged in their jobs. So there is a need, bottom line, the good news is, there is a need for qualified candidates for senior level positions or that next position in terms of management for you, okay? So that's what you want to focus on in order to have the right kind of positive attitude, if you will, about going to get the promotion. Let's talk about the 3 most common obstacles first that we find our clients encounter. And they're listed here on this slide. Unclear direction, lack of confidence, like the imposter syndrome, like we just talked about, and flat out procrastination. And this one is something that I struggle with as well, so I totally get it. So the first one, and then we'll do a poll in a couple of minutes here about these because we want to hear from you all, which are the obstacles that you struggle with the most. But the first one, you need to determine if this is an issue for you, and get out your pen and paper to write this down for me if you would. Is unclear direction one of your main obstacles? Is this why you're not asking for it? Is it because you're not sure if your job is satisfying or if you even want that next step? Would the next step leverage your strengths effectively in the way that you want to? And you might even be questioning, do I even want to stay at this organization and ask for that promotion? So if unclear direction is one of your obstacles, I want you to write that down. The second one is the lack of confidence, like we said. Some people may feel like they don't deserve it, they're not good enough yet, they don't have the strengths or the skills for that job, and that feels overwhelming. That could be one of those, and if that's one of your main ones, write that down as well so we know. And then finally, procrastination. And like I said, a lot of people usually suffer from this one, understandably. Not ready to work on this, I've got too much else going on. I'll update my documents later, or I'm not really sure what the steps are to take, so I'm not going to research it or look into it, I'm just going to put it off, okay? So let's go ahead and do the poll, Callie, if we would, this first one. What we're wondering here, everyone, is which obstacle applies to you? And as you're, filling out or completing the poll for us, please, if there are any other obstacles that you are struggling with that's preventing you from making this happen, please do write those down on your sheet of paper, because awareness is the first step. You can't address any of the issues or obstacles that are getting in your way unless you know what they are first. So Callie, if you could go ahead and read those when we have everybody, that would be wonderful.
Sure. So it looks like we have a mix, right? So Unclear Direction, 17% said yes, that's kind of what applies to them. Lack of confidence, it was a majority of folks, 67%, and then also procrastination at 17%.
Okay, yeah, so it is a good mix. Thank you all for sharing this and being willing to, share it with us. So please know one of the reasons why we conduct these polls is for you all to understand that you're not alone. Like a lot of people have these same kind of doubts and fears and other issues. As you can imagine, the confidence piece is kind of an internal obstacle, and we will talk about that during the course of, our webinar today, how to leverage affirmations and different things to help you boost your confidence. And also the unclear direction, though, is where you've got to figure out leveraging, for example, our ideal career model. You've got to figure out what your next step is and what your long-term career goal is. 1 year out, 3 years out, 5 years out, okay? And the procrastination, we find for our clients that if they will set a calendar appointment to start working on this and they'll build it into their existing workday, like twice a week go out to lunch or go to coffee or something during their lunch hour, whatever it is, to get this work done, that works a lot better than adding it to their to-do list, like, oh, this is something else I need to do. Build it into your existing schedule already to take these action steps that we're going to share with you in just a second here, okay? So tip number one, let's start with the tips here and the top 10 tips. So tip number one, obviously, is to update your resume and keep it updated over time. And so we'll talk about this one for just a second. So the first thing that we want you all to do at the very beginning here at the top of this slide is to take stock of, okay, where are you right now in terms of your career and how qualified are you for that next step, for the promotion, okay? And as part of this, you're going to be establishing your goals. And finally, we want you to refine your resume. So the first thing here at the top of the page is we want you to begin by updating your resume to reflect all of your accomplishments to date. So most likely, if you haven't kept it up to date, you're missing some stuff. You may even be missing like your current position. Believe me, we've had plenty of clients say that I haven't updated my resume since I got my job. That's totally normal and understandable. So we want you to update your resume to reflect those accomplishments and personalize it for the position that you want for that next promotion, okay? So you're thinking about what would be the transferable skills, the things that I'm doing now that could translate over to that next step, okay? As part of this, you want to be thinking about and starting to identify what your long-term goal is. What position is it that you're asking for in terms of a promotion? Where is it? Do you want it to be at your current organization or at a different one? And what's the timeline? Is it going to be in 6 months that I ask for this, in a year or 2 years, whatever makes the most sense, okay? So we want you to first start to update your resume for where you are now and get it up to speed for your current position, okay? One of the things that we suggest for our clients' resumes is we want them to save a master copy of their resume with everything on it that you can then personalize later on as you're applying for different jobs, okay? We also want to remind you that you want to create a PDF and text version so that when it is time to send a copy of your resume either to your current boss or whoever it is to ask for the promotion from, and also especially if you're applying for jobs outside of your organization, you want to have that PDF version so that it holds the formatting. When you send it over in Word, it could get garbled based on whatever version of Word that other person has, and a text version as well that you could copy and paste into a job board if you needed. What our recommendation is that you update your resume at least every 6 months. It is very hard, as you can imagine, when people come to us and they're like, oh, I need to conduct a job search, or, oh, I want to go for this promotion, and the meeting, I need to set up a meeting within the next couple of weeks for whatever reason. It's a lot harder for us to help them update their resume, when it's in such bad shape and we have that short timeline. So it's better to keep it updated on an ongoing, regular basis. So we want to check in with you all at this point in our second poll here. How many people keep their resume up to date on a consistent basis? So Callie, if you could do that and then share the results, that would be great. What I recommend is to remind you all to, keep your resume updated, put just like a calendar, a recurring calendar reminder for yourself every 6 months so that you've got that and don't forget to do so. All right, awesome. So we'll give you a second here to fill that out.
All right, so our results look like this. So 22% are updating their resume often.
Good.
67% update it when they need to, and 11% rarely, never update it.
Okay, well, that's actually not too bad. I'm glad about the 11%. Like, that's a really low number. So it's awesome that at least people are doing so when they need to, and obviously we can define needing to as, different things. But we want you all to move into as much as possible that with that 22% of people who are updating it often, because we just forget things. We forget the specific tangible results of our work, or we forget what our boss or a client or colleague said to us about that project that we worked on. So the next thing, tip number 2 that we want to recommend to you is actually to create, in addition to having your resume, as a separate document, what we would call just an accomplishments document. And this would be a place like in Word on your desktop or whatever, somewhere that's easily accessible so that you can update it on a consistent basis, where you're just going to write down all of your accomplishments. This does not have to look pretty because it is for you only. For when it's time to ask for the promotion, you've got all of these things listed out somewhere and you haven't forgotten them. The sections on your accomplishments document should be measurable results. So what are the measurable results, the tangible things that you accomplished? Put down numbers, statistics, percentages as much as possible. If you don't have those, that's okay. Spell it out as much as possible and say, because of this work, I enabled my financial advisors, for example, to focus on serving clients' needs or executing trades or whatever it was. That's just an example. As much as you possibly can, spell out what the measurable results are. As we said, even if you don't have those specific numbers, because not everybody has that. We don't all have that type of job. You want to also include as a separate section, testimonials and compliments, kudos that you get from customers, from coworkers, from your boss, from anyone else. You want to write these down, whether it's a verbal testimonial that they gave you, a pat on the back, or if it's an email, especially if it's an email, copy and paste it into your accomplishments document. Because this is the beginnings, everyone, of a brag book that you can take into your promotion meeting to demonstrate to them why you deserve this. You want to also have a section for any awards that you achieved, any certifications that you attained, and as part of that, a section for classes or courses that you attended, even if they're online, those are relevant, and also projects you completed, just to make sure that you've got a list of, okay, these are the things that I accomplished outside of just the measurable results, if you will. We'd like you to take about 10 minutes to review these every single month. Put a calendar reminder, monthly for you to remind yourself to do this. Some people will just put it in right away, when they get the kudo or testimonial or complete the class. But bottom line, we want you to remember to keep this up to date as well, because this is what's going to help you with the verbal portion, so to speak, of your promotions meeting, so that you're explaining to them, you have some of it in the document, whatever is relevant, but also you've got some talking points to speak with them as well. Tip number 3 is one that our clients tend to sometimes forget about, and it's tell your boss or whomever it would be relevant to do so that you want to advance, and ask for those projects to fill any gaps in your qualifications that you might have. So here's the deal with this one. A lot of our clients will just, when they come to us, they'll just assume, oh, well, my boss knows I want to advance. And then when they speak to them about it, they don't always know. A really good boss, obviously, would be the kind of person that helps you move forward in your career and helps hold you accountable for that. But obviously, we don't all have that. So don't make any assumptions about the fact that, whether your organization, your department, your supervisor, et cetera, don't make any assumptions about whether they know you want to advance or not. Make sure that it's clear. We've also had the flip side, actually. I was speaking with one of our coaches' clients a couple weeks ago, and she said, my organization assumes we will all want to move up, and you know what? I don't want to. So you want to make it clear, in this case, for our purposes, that you let them know that you want to advance, okay? So basically, if you take a look at the slide here now, from your resume review that you just did, identify any gaps you have and qualifications so that you understand what you need to make happen over the course of the next 3, 6 months, 12 months, so that you can move forward towards that promotion and being qualified to ask for it. You want to create a list of gaps, and these are the 3 areas where you want to have those gaps kind of listed out. You want to consider your past experience and where you may not have as much experience as you need to for that promotion, that next job. Think about education, any classes that you could take that would help you with this, and think about skills and strengths that you need to develop, okay? And this can be kind of an addendum, if you will, or a separate section that we would call your promotion document that has your action steps to move towards making this happen and getting ready for that meeting in whatever timeline makes sense for you. As part of this, we want you to identify and ask for projects to fill those gaps. So look in your own backyard first. A lot of times our clients will be thinking about, what do I need to do externally? Where do I need to go to volunteer to get some experience or take a class or whatever it is? And those are completely valid. Look towards your UGA, the Career Center, and online education on lynda.com, lots of different places we can do this. But also think about what you can do where you are now, because in some cases that's going to be a lot easier, that you can kind of beef up or enhance those skills and that experience. And then finally, we do want you to track your progress towards those goals, obviously. So after you've identified what those gaps and qualifications are, you need to begin, obviously, a list of action steps. What are the 3 to 5 things that I need to do to enhance my qualifications for this? We would highly recommend that you share this and talk with your boss about it, if it's possible for you to do so. We are aware that in some cases, people don't have a great open relationship with their supervisor, and we understand that. So if your supervisor is not the right one to talk to about this, it's okay to speak to, for example, your HR department or your supervisor's boss, whatever is appropriate for your situation. And this is where, again, if you've got specific questions about this, happy to talk with you in a quick strategy session to kind of work out the kinks there. But bottom line, one way or the other, we want you to communicate what your goals are to someone and start making those qualifications or those gaps, starting to fill those right away. Tip number 4 is to enhance your skill set, and this piggybacks on the previous one, obviously. So one of the ways to enhance your qualifications is online courses or in-person courses. This is a place where you could ask your supervisor for possible ideas. One of the other things that we suggest you do is you can research people who are in higher level positions. Look on their LinkedIn profiles and look at what their past experiences and any classes or certifications that they have to see what may be relevant for the job you're going for. So if you take a look at this slide here, one of the ways obviously to enhance your qualifications can be coursework. So the internet courses that we like are lynda.com, coursera.com is another one, but check out your industry association as well, because they may have online classes that they either recommend or they perform or host on their own, independently. Think about and consider certifications. We do highly recommend checking this out because we have had clients go get certified in something versus feeling like, oh my goodness, do I have to really go back to get an undergraduate degree or a whole nother degree, in this area. But when they look on their industry specific association website, they realize, ooh, there's some certifications I could take. And would that be relevant for the job that you're going for? That's what you want to investigate and check out. Also, college courses. We talked about researching LinkedIn to see what people's background and history is. You can also conduct informational interviews with people in these higher level positions to find out a little bit more about what the qualifications are and should be, kind of those soft skills especially, that may not be listed as much in a job description or in someone's LinkedIn profile. So conducting informational interviews, especially, this is a way that you can leverage your UGA alumni network to just kind of pick people's brain for 5 to 10 minutes about what would be required and what do you need to be working on in order to get that higher level position, okay? All right, so tip number 5 is to take initiative. So let's talk about this one for a few minutes. So taking initiative in your current job taking initiative goes beyond just showing up prepared for your performance review, for example, by filling out the standard company form. Think about how on a regular kind of day-to-day basis, how do you handle problems at work as a professional and as an employee? Do you only tend to identify problems, for example, or possible issues and report them, or do you try to find a way consistently to solve them? Do you come to meetings with the negative results or problems regarding a current issue? Or do you come also with a strategy that you can be involved in for implementing a possible solution? If you stop, for example, at identifying just problems, your superiors may not think that you're qualified to handle more responsibility. So in terms of taking initiative, you want to identify some areas that need improvement, ideally in your department or in your organization as a whole, and start to think about steps that you can take to fix it. So take something, take ownership of something and take it upon yourself to fix something that's not working as well as it should, okay? So if we take a look at the slide here, several ways to take initiative are listed here. Obviously, working on tasks that you haven't been asked to do so. Offer solutions to problems, not just reporting problems on a regular basis. Suggest improvements to things that you think could be, better. We also want to suggest, too, that you observe and emulate other people in your organization, other leaders that are either in the position that you're interested in or in higher level positions, because we want you to start creating a list of soft skills that you need to improve. So here's what we mean by this. Make a commitment to take time or just be more observant about people who are leaders in your organization, people who are in the positions that you want to have. How do they handle change? How do they handle conflict? What makes them a great leader? What is their communication style and what are their communication skills? What are the qualities they have that you kind of need to enhance or adopt, okay? For example, do you need to be more patient and calm under pressure? Do you need to take crises or tough issues in stride more and not get so worked up? We could all do that, right? Do you need to communicate more clearly and effectively in team meetings, but also maybe through emails? For example, too, could you dress more professionally? Take more time to get to know your coworkers a little bit more. Offer to help them with certain tasks. Take a few minutes after we're done today to analyze how can you go the extra mile now to get that next promotion. Determine 3 things that you need to work on to be the person who deserves that next promotion right now, not just waiting until you actually get it, okay? Because you may not unless you demonstrate right away that you have the capability to do that next job. And the final thought on here that I have to give credit to my mom for, because she has always said this to me in the past, is to dress for the job you want, not the job you have. It sounds kind of hokey in some ways, but we all know how we feel if we have a brand new suit on or, a new pair of shoes for women or whatever it is, whatever makes you feel more confident, okay? But you want to dress extra and even more professionally in a way so that you're not just boosting your confidence, but you're demonstrating to those at your organization that you are taking yourself seriously from a professional standpoint as well. So dress for the job you want, not the job that you have. Let's take a look at this next tip here, and this is tip number 6. And it's be confident, and it piggybacks again on tip number 5, like we said earlier. So the reason why we spoke about, the obstacles at the beginning of our webinar today is because those obstacles get in our client's way of just behaving like the person that they want to be in terms of being a leader and being the professional they want to be. So here's the deal. If you take a look at this slide here, your attitude, as we all know, is critical. It's critical to getting that next promotion and asking for it effectively. Your attitude affects your actions, which in turn affects your outcome. We all know how we feel when we walk into, let's say, a meeting or a networking event and we feel really good and confident, how much more effective we are in achieving our goals during the course of that meeting versus when we're not feeling so hot, okay? 85% of our clients tell us when we ask them point blank at the beginning of our coaching engagement with them, they tell us that they are their biggest obstacle to their career goals, not something external. One might assume that it's some external thing that's going on, but nope. 9 times out of 10, they're telling us that they are the ones that are getting in their own way, okay? So if you feel like you suffer from imposter syndrome or something else like that, that inhibits or hinders your confidence to ask for this next promotion, and we know that some of you do because we talked about that earlier, here are some of the things that you can do to start working on that. Affirmations, we know work flat out. It's retraining your brain to think more positively towards the goal that you want to, move towards. Now, we all know that, it may sound silly at the beginning, right? But we all know that professional athletes, for example, they don't go into a game saying, oh, I'm going to lose and I'm terrible. They know how to use this positive, these positive affirmations and this positive self-talk in order to enhance their performance. It's the same thing with us. We want you to write down an affirmation and post it on your bathroom mirror, for example, or on your dresser about why you deserve the promotion. And if it's something that you don't feel like you quite deserve it because, for example, you need to take a class or get certified or something else, just write something down that is true that's an affirmation. I will, take the steps I need to in order to get that next promotion. Whatever it is, you need to write down a positive affirmation that will help change that negative thinking that you may have in your head that focuses you towards the goal and helps you feel more motivated and confident towards it. The other thing we want you to start paying attention to is your body language at work. Is your body language confident? Do you sit up straight in meetings, or are you kind of slouching and sitting back? Are you not really paying attention? Do you not look people in the eye, especially those who intimidate you? So we want you to also, in the next few weeks here especially, to start paying attention to your body language and how you're coming across with your nonverbals at work and working on improving those. Sit up straight, shake people's hand effectively and powerfully. Look people in the eye when you talk with them. Slow down when you're talking if you need to, because sometimes when people talk too fast, they seem a little bit more scattered. Sometimes, this isn't always the case, but when they talk too fast, you may seem more scattered and also just not as confident, maybe like you're nervous. So pay attention to that body language. The last thing that we actually have our clients do in order to boost their confidence is make a list of all of their past accomplishments, personal and professional, even since childhood, so that they can see on paper in black and white all of those things that they have accomplished as a person, and it really does help. The final thing that I would recommend to you all in terms of being confident as well is one of the things we will have our clients do is take small risks on a regular basis at work. Speak up in a meeting when you normally don't. Go that extra mile to, talk to a coworker that is intimidating to you and ask them a question about something that you may need help with, whatever it is. Confidence is a muscle, everyone, that needs to be worked out, so to speak, on a regular basis, or else it kind of atrophies. So you need to take it to the gym, and taking those small risks every day will help you boost your confidence, okay? Just as a quick reminder, one of the things that will help you be more confident when it comes time to ask for that promotion is having a solid presentation in PowerPoint with images, the results from your accomplishments document, and everything else you need in order to present to your supervisor to ask for that promotion. We have a promotion presentation. We have some examples that we're happy to share with you. Don't hesitate to reach out to us. The email is on the screen, admin@halliecrawford.com. We'd be happy to share that with you so that you have a template to work from when it's time to set up that meeting and conduct it. Tip number 7 is to be a leader. So let's shift gears to this next tip. Be a leader right now. It's just like taking initiative and dressing for the job you want. You want to start demonstrating to your employer that you are a leader right now and you're capable of taking that next step. Some of the leadership qualities we want you to consider developing are on the next couple slides here. Focus on motivating others more. Instead of just having your head down doing your own job, get and become more engaged in assisting others with their job. You're not doing their job for them, but motivating them, asking them how they're doing, pitching in to kind of help them if they need assistance. That is an important emotionally intelligent leadership skill that employers and supervisors look for. Take a greater leadership roles in meetings or within your team. Do so now. Don't just wait for someone to ask you to do so. Another critical leadership skill is to be able to handle conflict effectively. So if you feel like you're not so great at managing conflicts, this is something that we suggest you get a coach to help with. We'd be happy to help you with that. Read some articles online about conflict management, and there's great books on Amazon as well. And finally, the book that I would actually recommend in terms of being a more effective leader is The Emotional Intelligence 2.0. It's a quick enough, easy read, easy enough to digest and implement so that you can start to enhance your emotional intelligence. This is just as important as book smarts, and in some cases, emotional intelligence is even more important than that, because if you can have all these great ideas and be incredibly intelligent, but if you can't get those ideas across in an effective way and have people really believe and buy in and hear you, it doesn't matter. If you have those smarts, it's not going to work and not going to come out effectively. The top 7 qualities employers look for in terms of leadership strengths, etc., I wanted to share these with you on the slide from a recent survey here, is intelligence, leadership ability, integrity, likability, competence, courage, and inner strength. These are things, remember how we talked a few minutes ago about those soft skills that leaders have in your organization that we want you to observe and start to emulate? These are some of those soft skills that they can't teach you this stuff. You need to either have these inherently or begin to develop them on your own, okay? So the soft skills, remember, in terms of qualifications, are just as important to put into your PowerPoint presentation as the hard skills and those tangible results you've achieved. According to Development Dimensions International, on this next slide here, this is their leadership wheel. Development Dimensions International is a very highly regarded management consulting firm, and these are the top 10 leadership skills that they assert are critically important in this day and age in our professional world. What we want you to do here in order to understand how you are qualified or not, where those gaps are, but where you have solid strengths in terms of your leadership skills, is to rate yourself in each area, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10 here. How good are you at all of these? Keeping in mind that some of them may not be relevant for your company or industry, which is okay, just skip those. But identify top 3 areas, your top 3 areas of development, where you need to work the most in order to work towards that next promotion. I would highly recommend as well that you ask your supervisor to fill this out too if you want to take a risk. It's a really good idea because our own self-assessment, we could be a little bit off, and it's really good to know how we're coming across in the workplace as well. Just as a quick reminder, if you need help filling this out or anything else, happy to conduct that free career strategy session with you. Just email us at admin@halliecrawford.com. Happy to do that with you directly. Let's look at tip number 8. And as we come to our last few tips here today, everyone, please feel free to start thinking of questions that you want to ask in the Q&A portion that we'll get to in just a minute here. But tip number 8, as you progress and as I would say part of being a more effective leader right now, is we want you to start to ask for, not just accept it, but ask for and implement constructive criticism. So if you're not the kind of person that asks on a regular basis, like, how am I doing? Are there areas I need to improve? And you just tend to wait for the performance review to show up and then you deal with all of that. That's not what we want you to do. That's not good enough. We want you to be checking in with your supervisor, your coworkers, your clients even in certain cases. How are things going? What are some areas that we need to improve, and what do we do well? Ask them both questions. And when we get constructive criticism, and hopefully it's constructive, we all know that it isn't always the case that way, but you want to try to take it that way as much as possible. Obviously, the incorrect response here on the slide, if you ever do get unsolicited feedback, especially, is to dismiss it, blame the other person, or criticize them. That is not the way to go. Instead, you want to accept the feedback. You can weed out what may be accurate or not, but find out more to make sure that you don't weed things out that are actually accurate for you. Accept it, implement changes, and work on improving yourself as a leader as part of showing or demonstrating that you are the person that deserves that next promotion, okay? So the bottom line here for this one is to start asking for this constructive criticism and checking in more often, okay? I used to have a boss that said, when we have a performance review, there should never be any surprises, and she was exactly right, and this is what we always tell our clients. So tip number 9 is to find a mentor, and we do want to do this poll here. How many people on the call today actually have a mentor? Mentors can give you sound advice about the things that you need to develop, the skills, the qualities, any other experience that you need to gain in order to get that next promotion. They can also give you this insider knowledge on what's crucial or new in your industry, an opinion and assistance on your career progress as well. So we highly recommend, if you don't have a mentor yet, that you find one. They can help you move towards this next promotion and how to ask for it effectively. So yeah, Callie, if you could tell us, that'd be great.
Yeah, sorry, I kind of jumped the gun here. So it looks like 43% of people say that they do have a mentor, which I think is great, and 57% said that they don't.
That is really good. I'm very impressed and proud of you guys, because a lot of times the majority of our clients, when they come to us, they don't have a mentor. So the fact that that many have it, that's fantastic, gold star. And for those of you that don't, feel free to email me to ask about different ways to, find a mentor, where to look for it. Your UGA Alumni Association, this is a great resource for that purpose. But as we said, a mentor is not just good for, asking for a promotion, but also for your long-term career goals as well. So tip number 10, obviously, is to prep for and conduct the meeting, okay? And we could do a whole nother webinar on just this whole thing, how to be effective in that. And Callie, I think we should consider that later on. So here are some of the basic things that you want to do in order to prepare for the actual meeting, asking for the promotion. We talked about updating your resume. Make sure at that point it's completely up to date. Also, your LinkedIn profile as well. You may feel like LinkedIn, why does it matter when it's my current employer? It does. You want to make sure that your LinkedIn profile looks, exceptionally good, because that's something that they may look at as well. And it shows that you care about your professional development and you care about your career. Review your accomplishments document, like we talked about before. Go in with a PowerPoint presentation, but also what we would call a brag book that has a copy of your resume, any other examples of, articles you've published, anything else that you feel would be relevant. Include that in the brag book, kind of as a leave behind for them. You want to conduct, obviously, your salary research in advance, so you know what kind of salary to be asking for, what type of bump up. During the course of the meeting, present your case, give an actual presentation. Don't take this lightly. Don't be too casual about this meeting. Your boss may be more casual about it, but you should not be. And be confident. Build your confidence and work on these things we talked about before so that you come across in the best light as you're conducting the meeting. And finally, at the end, don't forget to actually ask for the promotion. And if for some reason they say, not right now, ask when it would be possible, if it would be possible, and in what time frame. Don't walk out of there just disappointed, although we understand that you probably would be, but find out what you need to do differently to make it happen, and come up with a plan together to hold their feet to the fire as well as hold your feet to the fire too. 4 basics to avoid that would definitely knock you out of the running for a promotion. Any sense of, or sort of dishonesty or cheating within your job, being unreliable. And by the way, this isn't, you may think, oh, my boss knows me well enough or whatever, I can be late sometimes. Pay attention to that, because you're not demonstrating, if you consistently do it, you're not really demonstrating that you're being the leader that they want you to be. Handling personal matters at work, especially too often, don't do it. And being negative, I mean, this may sound like not quite as important, but if you're coming across as just kind of a negative Nelly at work for whatever reason, that's not going to be a good thing either, obviously. They're going to see you that way and kind of pigeonhole you that way. So just as a quick reminder, these are the things that we talked about today from our agenda. If you want a copy of the presentation, email us at admin@halliecrawford.com. Happy to share that with you. And as we start to move to Q&A, I did want you all to start to think about 2 action steps that you will take in the next week to start moving towards asking for the promotion. One could be the strategy session, which is listed on the slide here. These are some places that our clients have landed jobs, as well as some of the testimonials. I'm going to give you in this next slide here some examples of some action steps. So get out your pen and paper, please. And here's some examples. One of your action items could be updating your resume. One could be, talking to your boss. Creating your accomplishments document could be another. Or asking your coworkers or employees for feedback on how am I doing? Where are my gaps? So that you start to understand what you need to do in order to move up and move forward. So go ahead, please, and write down 1 action item, at least. I'll let you go with just 1 for the moment. Ideally, there will be 2 that you will take in the next week. And as you're thinking about your questions that you want to ask, and you can go ahead and put those in the chat box, I want you to keep in mind this quote: the greatest risk in life is not taking one. If any of you have been on one of my webinars before, you know I use this quote all the time. This is the quote, I have it on my wall, that reminds me when I have to do something that steps out of my comfort zone, that's just not as comfortable for me. I always remember I want to take that risk in order to move forward to the next step. We all know without risk, there's no reward, right? So make sure that you make this happen, because we don't want you to look back in the next year or whatever it is and say, gosh, where did the time go? Okay, Callie, let's go ahead and start the Q&A. And everyone, if there are questions that you have that we don't get a chance to answer today, please feel free to email me at admin@halliecrawford.com. I'm happy to answer them later. And even if you think of questions in a couple of weeks while you're working on this, please feel free to email us too. I'm happy to answer. So Callie, let me know if we've gotten anything yet.
Yes, let me see here. We've got a couple.
And I always have to have some water after these too, because it's a lot of talking in a good way.
Okay, so this is pretty specific, Hallie, this question, and I'm going to refer Mark to just reach out to you because it is so specific.
Okay.
But basically, I'll just generally say, like, if you're in an environment where you really have to ask for a raise and it's not a standard thing in the organization, are there any ways that you would approach things differently? You have to always ask for it.
Yeah. So it's a great question, and I'd be happy to talk with this person directly too offline as well for specifics. But I would see if you can adjust or kind of move your job by asking for additional work or projects or different kinds of projects. See if you can start to kind of massage or adjust your job in the direction that you want it to go. And if it's not specifically, okay, this isn't going to be a promotion necessarily, see if you can expand it on your own by asking for more work or these other projects, or even volunteering for those things. So that could be one thing that you could do kind of informally to make that happen. And if for some reason, though, you feel like, gosh, because my organization is like this, you may want to consider, do you need to be at a different organization if you try to expand it and that doesn't work? So that would be my kind of, generic top line thought on that one for the moment.
Yes. Okay, great. I think that's very helpful.
No problem.
Awesome. And you know what? We have no other questions. Oh, no, we do. How can you advance in the field with limited positions of promotion? What are ideas for that?
Great question. So think first about whether it's more specific to your organization for some reason, and I would just make sure that that's the case by researching and investigating other organizations within your industry just to see if there's some wiggle room there, because there may be. If you already know that there's no wiggle room and this is just how your industry is, I would, again, kind of similar to what I just said a moment ago, like 2 things. Number one, similar to what I just said. See if you can expand your role in some way, and find ways that you can keep yourself challenged. Because as you can imagine, like for me as a business owner, like, where am I going to go? Like, there's no promotion. Like, that just doesn't make sense for what I do. But what I do on a consistent basis is I make sure I'm learning a new skill. I'm taking a new class, whether it's for coaching or for my business. And I'm doing things to expand my repertoire and become a better manager for my staff or whatever it is. So if you can kind of adjust your job in the long run to what you want it to be like in terms of what would be kind of considered a promotion, that's something that you can do as well. Another thing that you could do is consider kind of a related field, but a related but similar field. So if you're in-house, for example, right now, could you go do consulting? And that would kind of be a promotion, or vice versa. Or if you worked at a different type of organization, but doing the same type of thing, like whether it's a nonprofit or government or whatever, could that be considered a form of a promotion? So those are some of the ideas that I would consider, like in a way to kind of adjust your career path that would move it forward.
Great. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Good.
Right.
Those are great questions. Yay.
Another one here. So when approaching leadership about a promotion, how do you also approach the topic of a salary increase that matches the market? And I know you and I just talked about this, Hallie. Many companies are happy to promote, but don't necessarily provide the salary increase. That's happened in a few places I've been at too, Hallie, where even the title will change, but there's no compensation. Any thoughts for that?
Well, so you want to do your salary research first, obviously, and we like Glassdoor.com as well as Indeed.com for general salary research. You're going to get some ranges, so it's going to be a little big in some cases, but at least it gives you a sense of in your specific location kind of what the ranges are. The other thing that you want to do is, if possible, with colleagues you know well enough to ask them what they're making, see if you can ask some people within your industry who are at your similar or same level, you know, what their salary is. Sometimes with job descriptions online, they will include that as well. That's where kind of Glassdoor comes into play. If you're working with, and if you reach out to recruiters, that's another way to determine, you know, what your worth is. In terms of what you could ask. But approaching your employer, once you have that salary research, you want to present that to them to help them understand what is, you know, reasonable within your industry, within, you know, your location, but not just that, like, okay, if I take this promotion or if I get it, I'm going to be performing these different types of tasks in this different way. I'm going to have X number more of new clients or whatever it is, so that you can show them tangibly why you should be making more money, because you're going to be leveraging a new skill set. You're going to be spending more time or hours in a specific area. So you have to kind of show them very specifically why the additional or the increase in salary is warranted. Not just based on additional time, but the higher level skills that you need to be using or the certification that you obtained or whatever it is. So those are some ways to start to go about it.
Okay, great. Awesome. Thank you so much, Hallie. I really appreciate you doing this webinar with us. I think it's just been such a great topic. And I know people are probably going to follow up with you, and they have lots of questions. Just know that the recording will be coming out later today, guys.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. And thanks, Callie. Have a great day and great weekend.
Excellent. You too.
Okay, bye-bye.